Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ajiro Tech. Ajiro Tech. In this video, you're going to be learning the Cambridge IGCSE ICT, which means Information and Communication Technology, with the course code 0417 or 0983. And we are looking at paper one theory. And we are looking at the October-November 2025, the second variant of paper one. Right in front of your screen is a link to our YouTube channel. So if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, I do not know what you're waiting for. This is the link right here in front of the screen. And if you've not joined our Discord channel, our Discord community is a fast-growing educational community, and it is packed. You do not want to miss out. We host some tutorials there, here and there, and just be there because you don't know when something surprising or fun is going to come in. And it is where you can learn with other, collaborate with other students around the world. So the link right there is right in your screen. So you can also scan the QR code and it will take you directly to our fast growing Discord community. Our goal is to be number one in the world, and that cannot happen without you in it. Okay. So welcome to ICT class 0417 /0983. Okay. Are we ready to learn? All right, let's go. We are a registered online educational platform. We're verified across the social medias, and this is boosting our trust to all of our potential clients, existing clients, that we take it very seriously, right? Our students, the progress of our students, we take it very, very seriously. And that is why we have an online private tuition for EdXL in Cambridge, in IGCSE or A levels, and you do not want to miss out, right? So if you're struggling across every or any subject, anyone at all, right? Whether it's in EdXL or whether it's in Cambridge, this is a good opportunity. This is me telling you about it to enroll, right? Because you don't want to miss out, right? For IGCSE and A level. So all you have to do is send a message to the sales team. The email is there, info@agiletech.com or agiletech@gmail.com, and get yourself enrolled. Okay? It's good for you. The tutors are experienced. They're the best of the best. So you don't want to miss out. Okay. And yes, we do have a ICT combo plan. I mean, this is a fast selling combo plan for every teacher. And then you get the support from me. It's not a one-time support. You get the support. I mean, for teachers who have gotten it, I mean, the dedicated support they get from me is, it's really, 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 really crazy. Because I'm always available to them, no matter how busy I am. And this is why I'm extending that to you, potential teachers or perhaps students, right? So the combo plan is enriched with everything you need as a teacher to succeed, to do well in terms of questions, scheme of work, slides, everything you need. It's just like you want to be a teacher and you have everything you need to do well. And it's a catchy slide, and you're like, okay, everything is done for me. Just go in there and do what you do best. And this is taking out time that you would have used spending time on your laptop and everything and everything. I spend a lot of hours on my MacBook, and I'm working, I'm designing slides, I'm doing this, and I'm taking that pressure off you so that you could use it to have time for your students, plan and everything. And this is really an affordable price. We had a plan to take it up, but we just said let's leave it on the threshold. So please send a message to the sales team. info@agiletech.com or agiletech@gmail.com and get yourself the combo plan, right? Okay. So we do also have for chemistry combo plan, right? I think, yeah, ICT and also have a chemistry combo plan. So you could send a message to sales team as well. All right. We now have for IT combo plan, and it is a work in progress. We're working on it. As of the time of this recording, we have it at as of 75, I think. Right. So obviously in the next few weeks it'll be 100%. So this is a discounted price that you need to get your hands on before we give it a fixed price. So please, if you're an AS IT teacher who's just starting and you need a copy of the combo plan, yeah, you can go for it. Mhm. Yeah, you can go for it. Okay. Just send a message to the sales team, info@agiletech.com or agiletech@gmail.com. Okay. So let's get started. Okay. So I think I can zoom in here. Question one, circle to web development layer, which I use when creating a web page. So we have programming, nope. System, no. Operational, no. To web development layer. HTML is not a development layer, no. Development, no. CSS is not a web development layer, even if yeah, it's not. So we are left with presentation and behavior. Can you see that? And you see this in chapter what? Chapter 21. Website authoring. Okay, so can I teach you? Are you okay? Can I teach you? Okay. All right. If you're just looking for just no, we teach here. So I need to ask if you're okay with it. Right? All right. So let's look at the behavior. What's the behavior layer? So let's talk about it. So the behavior layer. So when we talk about the behavior layer, okay, uh, this is where all action, such as what? Controlling element, except, very important, except hyperlinks, because hyperlinks is what? Part of what? Content layer. Thank you. Except hyperlinks on a web page are created. Of course, they are done using scripture language like JS. Okay, so JavaScript. Let me just write it in full, like JavaScript. The next one is what? Let's talk about the presentation. The presentation layer. This is where the visual impact of the web page is created and contained. And what contains what? The styles to be used. normally, if you've been with me for a long time, you would notice that back then when we were talking about theory, I used to just explain. I was not writing, and a lot of students said, "Sir, can we come in because we are the receiving end. We're not really we're understanding, but it's better if you're writing." And other students said, so I was proposing that I just put the answers and then explain, but it's really not fun that way because you will not be able to understand. It's not the same as when I'm writing and then I'm explaining because then I'm able to add other things to it. But if I just put the answers for you and then explain and then I'm done, then you not actually understand the build up on how and where and how you need to write it. So I'm giving you the natural kind of feeling of how you would write it if this was to be an exam. So this is just an explanation purpose. This is just to explain the basic concept for you. And a lot of students love it. Do you like it? Let me know if you're okay with this. Are you okay with it? Okay. Are you okay with it? Okay. So this is very important. Now, it is important that it is at this stage or at this layer, it is at this layer, the CSS is being used. Then finally, the content layer. So we talk about the content layer. This is where the content of the web page. Now I have to explain this because this is not just putting this content doesn't really make right. I need to now explain it, such as text, images are placed. Others, such as the page structure, right? Example, frames, table, tables, hyperlinks are placed. And this is where, okay, let me just do this. So, and then do this. This is where the HTML is being used. So now you have an understanding of, you now have an understanding where the CSS, the CSS and the HTML, where they are being placed, right? Okay. So let's go ahead. Are we good with this? So let's look at the second question. A computer system uses analog to digital converter and digital to analog converter. So we'll see this word in chapter 1. Types are what? Components of computer systems. Types and component of computer systems. So when we talk about this is essentially for the sensor. Now, of course, you see the sensor in chapter 2. We are talking about the input. Now, for the sensor to be able to, the sensor measures the environment. Okay, so the sensor measures the environment and then translates it to the computer. Now, the process in which it happens is what we are talking about. So we have, let me do this. So we have the sensor here, okay, which measures the environment, right? Then we have the ADC, which is a hardware. Take note, is a hardware that helps us to now convert it to what? To the computer, which is the microprocessor. And then for the computer to now be able to understand it, interpret it, and then give out the instruction, because the computer is discrete. It processes data in discrete form, which is binary. Of course, we talk about binary, we're talking about zeros and one, right? So for us to be able to understand, what we understand is high-level language, right? Human readable format, right? So we now need to the computer needs to convert it, and there need to be a hardware that does that conversion, which is what? The DAC, right? And then it goes to what? To the actuator. Now, the actuator is an output, right? So the actuator can be linear, take note, can be rotary, that's rotational, can be also octational, like that. There are different kinds of that, right? Now, which goes to the actuator or the motor, right? And I've explained this extensively for you because you understand this better in AS. That's the benefit when an AS teacher is teaching, an A-level teacher is teaching you, because we are able to now understand it from the more deeper level. Because for IGCSE, it was just explained in the surface. All these things you will see there. But in the AS, it was explained extensively. That's why if you meet an AS students to explain all the modeling and monitoring, they will explain it very, very well for you. So this is the process it goes through, right? So this is the physical, it measures the physical. And because computer does not understand analog, it needs to be converted to what? To digital. And then sent back to what? To human what? Form. Okay, so now they said, apart from converting data, that's what they said, apart from converting data, state one other reason of using ADC. Why do we have to use the analog to digital converter? So it converts it. But apart from it, because what the computer understands, like I said, is what is binary, is discrete. And for the computer to be able to process the information from the sensor, it needs to be converted. So apart from conversion, the computer will need to process it. Okay. So here we can say that, so it can be processed by the computer. Are we getting it? Now, apart from converting, state one other reason for using DAC. Now, we know that for us to be able to understand what the computer is interpreting to us, it needs to be what? To be converted. But here is another thing. Now, actuators do not understand binary. They understand what? High level. So that simply means that for the actuator to be able to interpret what the computer is sending, or the microprocessor is sending, it needs to be converted. And actuators, like I said, they are what? They control. Now, for the AS, you see something called what we call the valve. I've talked about it in the AS class, the valve. Now, what this valve is doing is linear. It opens the coil, it opens the coil, close the coil, and it is just used to control the opening and closing of that. Okay, so apart from converting data, state one other reason for using what? The DAC. So we can say that what? The actuator, let's see the actuator understands only analog what? Data. We can also say for others, so that the data can be used to control the device. So for the door to open and close, something has to be sent to say, okay, if it gets to this preset value, if it doesn't get this preset value, do this, do that, do this. So you see the preset value here. Are we learning? Okay. State one other device that could be used to input data into what? An analog what? Data converter. What do we use to input data to what? Into the analog? Because again, it converts something to it. So what do we use to input? Who can tell me in the comment section? It's obvious. It's right here. We use the sensor to input it, right? Because sensors are what? Input devices, right? They are a type of what? Input what? Devices. So we have what? Sensor. Okay. You can also use if you don't want to type, or you don't want to, if you don't want to use the sensor to measure, some people can also use microphone. So others can use the microphone. Okay, the microphone for A levels, right? In the A levels, this is for the A level. This is for the AS, right? For the AS, what we used to send to the ADC is data logger. Use data logging. The data logger. This is for the AS. So this goes outside the scope of your textbook, right? So you can just stick with sensor and microphone for IGCSE level, for IGCSE only. Okay. State one device state one device that could use the data output from DAC. So which one we use the output? Of course, this is obvious. Actuators are what? Output, right? Actuators are what? Output. So we have what? The actuator. Okay. Other ones we can use that helps to interpret. Now, instead of actuator, there are some things that appears on your screen. For example, let's give a good example, the traffic light. What does the traffic light do? So that information that appears on the screen, okay, or tells you that there's traffic, highway, take this or take that. You've talked about it in your chapter 5, right? Smart motorway, right? So what does that? So it's a screen that gives you that information, and that screen is known as what? A monitor. Yes. So for others, we have what? Monitor or speaker that gives you an information. So anyone is fine. Okay, are we good with this? So I've been able to explain this. Hope you understand what I'm saying. Okay. So let's look at this. A student is planning to buy a new desktop computer. He could buy one with a touch screen or one with a keyboard and mouse. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of buying a desktop computer with a touch screen and one with a keyboard and mouse. So you see this in chapter 1. types, types and components of computer systems. Just to give you context of where you can see this, you see it under what? Types of computer. That's what we do here. For each of the questions, I tell you exactly where you get it in the textbook. Types of what? Computers. And of course, we'll talk about the types of computers. Remember, we have two types. We have desktop and what? We have desktop and what? Look at, tell me in the comment section. Tell me in the comment section. You have just 5 seconds. Tell me. Mobile computer. Why do we call it mobile computer? Because it's a computer on the move, right? It's on the move. You can use it while you're on the move, right? And we have 4 types. Yes, your laptop, your tablet, your phablet, your smartphone. Good. All right. So let's discuss the advantages and disadvantages of doing that. Now, when you get to questions like this, it's like you trying to explain to the student. For example, they tell you, okay, what's the advantage of having an iPhone over a Samsung, right? I've never been a fan of Samsung. Personal opinion. I have nothing against them. I do have one thing against them. The screen. Oh my goodness. The screen is, just pray that you use the phone well. It doesn't fall anyhow. The screen gets damaged, because the cost of repairing the screen is like literally buying a new one. Literally buying a new one. So yeah. So if you want to give context to someone, okay, you want to buy this, you want to get a MacBook, or you want to get this, what are the pros and cons? So it's still the same style that you're using here to explain. Are we together? It's still the same style you're using to explain. So I'm going to start with the advantages. Okay. Now, if you are using a desktop computer with a touch screen, what's the advantage here? And those using mouse and keyboard. I mean, if you're using a touch screen, it's easier to select options. It's very easy. Instead of using the mouse to scroll to that place, I will just click on it, right? So it is easier to select what? Options. It's just because the student just has to click on it. It just has to touch it, touch the screen, right? So has to touch the screen. Just has to touch the screen. Yeah. So if you want to use that. Now, one of the things that I love touch screen, and you probably see this. Now, this, let's assume this is a desktop. I'm using my iPad, but let's assume this is a touch screen. Now, what do you notice here? Can your mouse and keyboard do this? Can your mouse and keyboard do this? Can it do this? Okay, I'm pretty sure your mouse and keyboard can't do this, right? So it can't, right? It can't literally do this, right? So you would have to now go to Zoom and do this, but you can't really get it like this, like I would do this. This is super cool. Okay, so now how do we put this? It is called ability, has the ability. Now remember, the we are emphasizing on touch screen over keyboard and mouse. So emphasis on your explanation has to be the desktop with touch screen. So has the ability to use pinch, and zoom. It is also easier to choose options on the screen. Now, when you look at the touch screen, there's a more smaller footprint, right? Because you don't have to be moving your mouse and everything. No, no, just you're just moving, right? Going up and down. So it has a smaller footprint, right? So it has a smaller footprint. Okay. So let's look at disadvantages. Now, for touchscreen, desktop with touchscreen, it is harder to upgrade. The ones that are touchscreen are those all in one. Okay, so it's harder to upgrade as separate units. Need to be bought. And of course, if the screen gets damaged, what happens? Okay, so if the screen gets damaged, it is more what? Difficult to use in what? Entering data. And if your screen gets dirty, what happens? If the screen gets dirty, it can what? Reduce responsiveness. Okay.
A lot, and you're like, okay, do you have a private tuition? Don't you have? Do you have? And yes, Agile Tech do have a private tuition. So by my right, you can see that we have for the EdExcel and Cambridge IGCSE, and yes, we do have for all subjects. Okay, all subjects. Okay, the popular ones that's always been in demand is mathematics, English language as a second language. Okay, we have physics, we have biology, we have chemistry, and we have um, you know the flagship, which is ICT, just here and there. We also have business studies. So if you're interested for a private tuition, um, I think all you have to do is send an email to the sales team at agiletech@gmail.com, and they would reply to you, talk about your time zone, talk about, and the fees really quite affordable. Really, it's really quite affordable. It's when you look at it across other tutoring service, I think this is the one that's quite affordable, and you get the very best of service. We also have for the E levels as well, um, and also for the EdExcel. So we have for the Cambridge E levels and EdExcel E levels. Okay, and we have also across the subject mathematics, which is usually the hot cake when it comes to A level. Mathematics and chemistry, and then biology. These are usually one of the ones we have in demand always, all the time. Even physics, for A level. So all you have to do, if you're watching this right now and you are interested for a private tuition, then you can do yourself a solid, okay, and send an email to the sales team at Ajiro at gmail.com, and they'll reply to you.
Compare internal memory and backing storage. Include in your answer both similarities and differences. So we'll see this in chapter 1. Types and components of computer systems. And here you are looking at two subtopics, right? Two subtopics. The subtopic here is internal memory, which is what? Your RAM and ROM. And then you have backing storage. So there are two subtopics you are going to see here in this chapter. So backing storage are what? Non-volatile. They store data that are more permanent in nature. But the difference between the backing storage and the ROM is that it stores large files. So you're looking at your pictures, text, audio, etc., etc. This one just stores configuration of data. So now let's include the similarities and let's include what the differences. Now, what do you notice? Right? Both the internal memories and the backend storage, what do they do essentially? You will notice I said ROM stores, right? You will hear that for RAM, they store data that are temporary. Backing storage store data that are more permanent. So you're hearing what's similar between the store, store, store. Thank you. Thank you. Similarities. Are we learning? Okay. So both store data. Okay. What else? You hear RAM, you hear ROM, backing storage. They're all what? Storage devices, right? Okay. So both are what? Storage devices or devices, whichever you want to do, because they store. So let's talk about differences. So I'm going to start with the internal memory. Let me start with the internal memory. Now, we're talking about the internal memory generally, which consists of the RAM and ROM. Now, if you check in your textbook, there's a difference between the internal memory and the backend storage. And one of them is that the internal memory can be directly accessed by what? The CPU. So the internal memory can be read directly by the CPU. Please let me know in the comment section. Is my handwriting clear? Okay, I want you to say it. Now, when it when it when it comes to faster access between internal memory and backend storage, which one do you think is faster in terms of what the data access time? Okay, So the internal memory. So internal memory tends to have what? Faster data access. Now I know you're talking about, okay, sir, can we do RAM and ROM? No, you have to do both of them together. Both of them. You notice I didn't do RAM and ROM. I did internal memory. So very important. All right. And yes, the internal memory are primary memory. Now, the ones that have to do with um differences. Okay, how faster? Okay, so that's just the difference. Um, we can put this internal memory are much smaller memories. Yeah. So they are much smaller memories. And take note, internal memory again are fixed inside what? The computer. That's why it is internal. Okay, so permit me to just put internal memory. Yeah, they are fixed. Okay, let me just do this. Okay, so backing storage. So backing storage is what is permanent. Okay, so it's permanent memory. I say internal memory are what? Are much smaller memories. So you can now see backing storage has what? A larger what? Capacity. And you can see here the backing storage. They are permanent memories. So backing storage are what? Secondary memory. Okay, so this is how you do it. So are we good? Are we good? Okay. Any question, just let me know in the comment section. All right. Okay. Tower Cars manufactures and sells 4 model of a sport car. So these are the model. We have L Sport, E Sport, G Sport, H Sport. It uses a paper-based data capture form to record details about this model. It is planning to set up an online data capture form. The current form is shown. So this is chapter 7. So you have what? The systems life cycle. Now, under this, you see this in the design phase. Because under the design phase, you have what we call the following. You have, what can I write this? Okay, so you have, under the design phase, you have your file structure and data structure. Whatever data types. So that makes it easy. You have the input format. You have the output format. Now, the input format is data capture form. The output format is what? Is your report layout. This for database, or you can say your screen layout. Now, they said, look at what they said. Let me zoom in. Look at what they said. They said it is a paper-based data capture form. It's trying to serve an online data capture form. So we can have the input form, which is the data capture form, and it can both be manual or electronic. Now, the one in manual is the paper base. So we have the paper base and the electronic base. The electronic base is seen as your form in database. Are we learning? Good. The one that you print out and give to people is just the one that shows on the screen, right? That people will now have to maybe manually put it is your screen layout. Now, the one that reflects as a report from your queries and everything is the report layout. And then we now have, we have 1, 2, 3, we have 4, right? So the next one is what? Validation routine. So your validation routines now are your what? Your various checks. Okay? Your validation routines are your what? Your various checks. Because it just ensures that the data entered is what? Is reasonable. So we have what? Validation checks. Right? We have about 5 of them: present, format, length, type. Yeah. Okay, all that, something like that. Okay, you get it, right? Okay. So we have this. So this is what it has been given. Do you understand what I've just done? I've done, right? So this is what has been given. So we have the registration number. Okay. Yes, this is going to be the primary key. Started taking yes. Okay. Date of registration, selling price. Okay. Please tick the state of the car and type of the car. So this is state of the car. Is it new? Is it used? Type of car, is it electric, petrol, hydrogen, LPG? I do not know what is LPG, so please tell me right in the comment section. Okay, I'm just seeing this. All right, so electric I know, petrol I know, hydrogen. Okay, so LPG, let me know, right? Teach me. So teach me. Okay. So what is it saying? So now let's look at this. They said, so we have this. So this helps us to be able to understand what we want to do. So we have the five. So your 5 structures are mainly like your fields, records, and all that, right? And data types are what? Your data structure, your data types. Data types are your character, your alphanumeric, your Boolean, your numeric. Okay, of course, your numeric, you have how many, right? Tell me date and time, telephone, but telephone in access is seen as text. Why? Because of the inclusion of zero. So we do telephones are not used for calculation. So the exception is telephone because of that zero. If you put it as numeric, it takes this off. Okay, so you have your currency, you have your decimal, you have your integer. Okay, so we have all that, right? Okay, so now look at what they said here. Okay, they said state given reasons for your choice, the most appropriate field names that could be used with the following design features. Your field name must be different in each case. So drop down list. So drop down. Oh, what about drop down list? Drop down list is like an online data capture form. So drop down list would be, if I'm to go for, I will go for this. So we can now have what? This is the form here. Type of car. And then we have this. You have a drop down here. The user clicks it. All this option is given. We also have this again. Model of car. So you have this. So these four options shows. Okay, so that's what I have. So I'm going to go with what? Which are we going for? Okay, let's go for type of car. So for type of car, what's the reason? Right? They can select, they can only select. Look at it, because they said type of car, model of car, you can only choose one. Okay, they can only select what is in the list. We don't want them typing something else. Also, yeah, good. Don't want them typing something else. Another point. It reduces error. So instead of G spot, they don't type Y spot, right? So it reduces errors in entering the data. Okay. So for radio button, let's go back. So for radio button, I'm having just one. For me, just one. So for radio button, I'm having state of car. So that state of car, you're now having what? A radio button here, new, and then a video button here, used. Or you can just do this. It's because of space. Or you can just do this, new, and then used. So whichever one you want to do. So they just get to select if it's this. Does that make sense? Okay. So radio button, state of car. Okay. And so what's the reason behind it? Only one option can be selected. You can't select both. You can't say I want to buy new and used. No, only one option. Right? So only one option can be selected at a time. So only one option can be what? Can be selected. It can also reduce error. So you can add this one again. It what? Reduces. It reduces what? Errors in entry what? The data. And it's quicker. It's quicker to enter the data. Input marks. Input marks. Let me explain input marks. Now, to properly understand input marks, you will see it in AS textbook. Okay, I know I'm talking about A-level a lot. I know. I'm an A-level teacher, right? So you will see this in chapter 10, right? It is, you will see it in, you also see it in your IGCSE. If you read it very well, you see it in chapter 18, because this database, chapter 18, database. Now for the AS textbook, you see it in chapter 10, right? Database and file concept. Why for IGCSE you see it as what? Databases. Okay, good. Now I want to explain this input marks for you. Okay, we'll talk about input marks. Let me write it. Input marks forces a database user to restrict the data they enter into a field. Okay, take note. Note, this is very important. Note, I'm now teaching AS. Okay, note, I will stop here, right? Note, it is not a validation routine. Why do I say it is not a validation routine? It's not going to show error. It's not going to prompt an error message that normally what a validation routine is going to do, right? It's not going to prompt an error message. No, it's not a data validation. Take note, it's not. But it would restrict the user, or we force the database user into entering the data in this particular format. Now, when we look at the input marks, right, there is characters and their functions. I'll just give you two common, right? So we have the L. We have the L. That L means that the user must enter what? A letter. And then we have 0 or 9. User must enter a number. Okay, so that is just the most. We can also add hash. Hash is also common. So user, for hash, user can enter a number, space, etc. So if your IGC teacher does not teach you like this, don't fault them, right? Even when I was just strictly teaching IGCSE, I never really understood this input marks like this until you start if on anybody that's explaining like this is an A-level teacher. So you just know it's an A-level teacher. So then that makes sense, right? But strictly an IGCSE teacher, you will not understand what an input marks is. You will not understand because you don't even use it in your practical. But for the AS, for the A-levels teachers, we use it a lot in our database practicals. Okay, so if your teacher does not explain like this, don't fault them. That is why you're here with me, so I can teach you, right? Okay. So now a good example of let's look at what field can we use as our input marks. What field can we use? Okay, so let's look at it. Okay. So I'm looking at registration number. So tower cars. So if I'm to do this, this is going to be like TC. Watch. TC. And maybe this is going to be 45 87, right? Something like that. So these tower cars, and this is the registration number for each car they select, or something like that. So now, if I'm to do the input marks of this is going to be what? The input marks is going to be LL 0000. That's going to be the input marks. That's going to be the input marks for this. Okay. So this is the only one that I know. Um, Sale price, input marks. Mm. So I will go with this registration number. Okay. So registration number. Okay. So what is the reason? Now it retains the same what format. So every registration number is going to go with that TC whatever, TC whatever, TC whatever. And of course, if you want to add something else, it makes it easier. Let me put this. Makes it easier to check the name written as one character per box. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Okay. I hope this. I hope you have been able to learn. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead. A robot paints cars. Let me zoom in. During manufacture, the robot can be programmed by a set of instructions typed into the computer system. Explain one. Okay, robot can be programmed by a set of instructions typed. Okay, explain one other way in which robot can be programmed to carry out this task. Okay, robot was mentioned in chapter 1 under artificial intelligence, but doesn't really explain that. So chapter 6. Chapter 6. So we have ICT application, ICT applications, and under ICT application, you are looking at what? Computer control system. When it comes to theory, we are the best. I know, I know. So then I think that was yesterday. We are having a private class that you just you Agile Tech is just simply the best when it comes to theory and everything. Yeah, because you guys take out the way to explain and put it's a lot of things to ensure that you're able to understand and everything. And that's why when it comes to theory private tuition classes, it is awesome because we arm you with a lot of tools to use to prepare. I mean, if you're not in our private theoretical classes, you losing a lot. Okay, so let's talk about this. Explain one other ways in which robot can be programmed to carry out these tasks. So what they are simply saying here is, apart from typing the instruction into the computer for the robot to paint cars during manufacture, what other way in which this robot can be programmed to paint cars? Okay, so we look at it here that The worker has sensors strapped strapped to his arms so that as he's painting, the robot is also following suit, right? Again, we can see that the robot arm is guided by a worker. It's funny though because the robot arm came out in the AS database. Yeah, we looked at the model, the robot, and then the customer. Those were the three um, tables, three normalizations. Of course, taking it to the third number form and all that and all that. This is IGCSE. Okay, this is IGCSE. Okay, so but it just reminded me of that. Okay, so we have this. So it's guided by a worker. Okay, and of course, each movement. I promise you, this is V. Let me write it again. Each movement is stored. In the computer memory as what? As a coordinate. Okay, so that's done. Discuss the benefit and drawback of using a robot to paint the car. So this is also chapter 6. It's the same thing as question same chapter as question 5b. So this okay. So let's talk about the benefits. For benefits, robots can work in what? In environments that will be harmful to a human. So they work in that environment. They work in serene environment that are what? Harmful. Robots work continuously. Inshallah. They don't get tired. They work. Humans, I mean, during the weekend I got tired. I needed to rest. Okay. Yes, I needed to rest. Yes. Oh, I said, so you rest? I said, yes, I'm resting. Just let me be. I'm resting. It's been very, very series of classes back to back. I need I needed to rest for my peace of mind. I needed to rest. Okay. Work continuously. All right. Okay. So they have what? Robots produce greater consistency. So they do the same thing over and over again. Robots painting of the cars are done accurately. Okay. Drawbacks: maintenance of robots are expensive. The initial cost of purchasing robots, okay, are very high. Robots, whether we like it or not, can cause higher unemployment. Thereby replacing skilled what? Labor. Can you see that? Thereby replacing what? Skilled labor. So this is how you attempt questions on benefit. Of course, you know the benefits. Not every benefit or drawback relates to what you want. So you need to understand the benefit. You need to now relate it to the question. Very important. We're good. Okay, so is this clear? Okay, so let's go to the next one. Students can bring their mobile computers into school to complete their work in lessons. State two examples of mobile computers. Now, I have explained this already. If you've been watching this video, I've explained it. Let me know in the comment section. Just tell me in the comment section. If I mention they have they have talked about can bring their mobile computers, give me the four, or just give me one right now in the comment section. So do that. Do that. I've explained it already. There's no do I need to answer this question? Do I need to? Right? So I've explained this already. Just let me know in the comment section the examples of mobile computers. Yeah. Let me know in the comment section the examples of mobile computers. So mobile computers are computers that are what? Are portable. They are used on what? On the move. So we have what? If you said laptop, correct. We have laptop computers. We have smartphone. We have phablets. We have tablets. All these I've explained right here. I think what question was that? If you check through, you see it. I've explained it already. The owner of the team of a theme park has decided to redesign the tickets for its ride. She's planning to use either a barcode or an RFID tag on the tickets. Describe the advantage of using an RFID tag rather than a barcode. So you see this in chapter 2. Input and output devices. And under the input and output devices, we're looking at DDE. So let me explain. So when we talk about DDE, right? What we are saying is they are what? direct data what entry devices. So that simply means that we can input data into the computer with little or no much of what any human interaction. Okay, so that's just what it is. First, now let's talk about the. So let me talk about the barcode first. Let me talk about the barcodes. What can I talk about it? Okay, it's fine. I'll talk about it here. So that's fine. Let me. I want to explain it before I give you the points. So we'll talk about barcodes, right? So the barcodes are read by the what? Barcode reader. They are used to read information in the form of what? In the form of a barcode. So these readers are usually read in the form of a barcode scanner, which is built, right? So we can have the handheld scanners or what? The one. Now we'll talk about the RFID, which is what your radio frequency. Take note. ID means identification. So take note. Identification. Reader. Okay. So they use what? Radio wave to read and what? Capture information stored on a tag. Of course, these tags can be read from what? From a distance. Take note. Can be read from a distance. Okay. So we have them as two types. We have the um, types. So we have the passive tag. We'll talk about the passive tag. The passive tag what? Use what? Radio wave. And then we have what? Battery what? Power tag. And this one uses what? A small embedded what? Battery to what? Power the RFID. So with this understanding, let's look at the advantages of using what? RFID than a barcode. So advantages. For the RFID, we have more information. First, more information can be stored on the RFID tag. The RFID tags are more robust, so it doesn't get damaged easily. RFID tags does not need to be in line of what? In line of sight of the reader. Very important. RFID can be read from a distance and they can scan faster. Very important. Are scanned faster than barcodes. Why? Because they are read by radio waves. Okay. And finally, RFID tags can be scanned even if they are defaced. Very important. So unlike your barcodes, if they are defaced, it's going to have issue scanning. So you probably have to just type it manually. All right. So, so that's the beauty of the RFID. So even if they get damaged, it can still be scanned. Tickets for the theme park are booked online. Describe the characteristics of an online booking system. So this is chapter 6. ICT application. And under that, we're looking at the booking system. So we have physical booking system, we have online booking systems. So take note of that. So let's look at the characteristics. We know when we talk about online booking system, people are able to book online with their mobile phones and everything and all that, right? So they're now asking us, what's the characteristics? When you look at an online booking system, what's the characteristics? What's the make of an online booking system? The first thing you should note is that bookings can be made 24/7, anytime. And many people, tickets for the theme park are booked online. Many people can book at the same time. Unlike physical booking, one at a time, because they're in queue. And bookings can be placed or can take place better Anyway, you don't have to be at your home. Nope. It can be anywhere in the world and you book. Okay. And once you make your booking, what happens? Tickets. Tickets can be what? Instantly sent. Instantly sent or sent instantly. Payments is online. So payment is online. So there won't be an issue with different currency. But they tell you to choose your currency and then you pay with that currency, depending on the currency available on the platform. And very important, it helps to prevent what? Double booking. Prevent double. I'm writing double booking. Okay. So it is important. All right. Farming can be a threat to data that is stored on a computer system. Describe what is meant by farming. So we'll see this in what chapter 8. Safety and security. This is for IGCSE. For the AS, you see it as chapter 5, e-security. Now, I've explained this extensively in the AS, explaining processes on what farming happens. Now, we'll look at farming. Before we say, okay, it's a malicious code that is installed. Now, that malicious code that is being installed, it is something you have to download, right? And then you download it to your computer. Now, that malicious code, what it does is it corrupts your host file to add in their own URL. So that anytime you're typing on the website, on a particular website, it redirects you without even the user knowing. Not only that, it also corrupts the DNS. I've done a video, right? I know this is IGCSE, but I would advise you, go to it with an ES. I've done a video on e-security. Skip to farming. In fact, there's farming, there's fishing, there's vision, there's smishing. Skip to those parts. I've explained it in depth. AS goes in depth. IGCSE is just the surface part and surface part, and we can't go all that because of time. So that is literally what it does. And the whole idea is to get your personal data. That's identity, to commit fraud, identity theft. Okay. So very important. Okay. So that is just what um, farming does. All right. So if I'm to put this in what I've said, a malicious code is installed onto what? A user what? computer. The code redirects what? The user onto a fake website. When the what? User types in what? The real URL. And we know why. Because it has corrupted what? The host file. And what? They are redirected without the user what? Knowledge. They are used to gain what? Personal information. Farming is seen as a form of what? Internet fraud. Okay. So hope you agree with this. All right.
A lot, and you're like, okay, do you have a private tuition? Don't you have? Do you have? And yes, Agile Tech do have a private tuition. So by my right, you can see that we have for the EdExcel and Cambridge IGCSE, and yes, we do have for all subjects. Okay, all subjects. Okay, the popular ones that's always been in demand is mathematics, English language as a second language. Okay, we have physics, we have biology, we have chemistry, and we have um, you know the flagship, which is ICT, just here and there. We also have business studies. So if you're interested for a private tuition, um, I think all you have to do is send an email to the sales team at agiletech@gmail.com, and they would reply to you, talk about your time zone, talk about, and the fee is really quite affordable. Really, it's really quite affordable. It's when you look at it across other tutoring service, I think this is the one that's quite affordable, and you get the very best of service. We also have for the E levels as well, um, and also for the EdExcel. So we have for the Cambridge E levels and EdExcel E levels. Okay, and we have also across the subject mathematics, which is usually the hot cake when it comes to E level, mathematics and chemistry, and then biology. These are usually one of the ones we have in demand always, all the time. Even physics, for E level. So all you have to do, if you're watching this right now and you are interested for a private tuition, then you can do yourself a solid, okay, and send an email to the sales team at agile@gmail.com, and they'll reply to you.
State two ways in which a user can attempt to prevent phishing. So when you are being redirected, one of the ways to check is look at the spelling of the URL. Confirm. Look at the interface. The interface may look similar, but it's not the same thing. So confirm, right? Confirm, is it the same thing? Look at the URL. So there's always that spelling mistake. That's number one. Number two, is there a digital certificate? I talked about digital certificate in ES in chapter 5. I talked about it in e-security in the A-level. I've done a video on it. I've also done video on IGCSE on digital certificate in chapter 8. So anyone who want to go to and learn, that's okay, right? So does it have that green padlock to ensure that that site is secure? So you check on all these things, right? Use anti-spyware. Run anti-spyware on your laptop to ensure that you are not being you're not being spied upon. Very important. And also the anti-spyware, I've talked about it in the A-level. Video has been done. Yes, I know I talk about A-level alone, but now I've explained it in depth because in A-level we go in depth. So you can now understand, and when you're bringing your context for IGCSE, it becomes extremely very, very simple for you, right? Okay, so let's look at it here. So here you have what? Use of what? The anti-spyware. Check the URL for any spelling mistakes. Check the website has what? Digital certificate. Okay, has what? Digital what? Certificate. Okay. A student is creating a web page using HTML. The student has coded the body section. State the purpose of the body section. Include in your answer 2 elements that can be found in the body section. So this is chapter 21. Website authoring. Now look at this. We have the body, right? So we have the structure of it here is we have idoc type, right? Then we have HTML. We have HTML. We have the head section. Close the head section. We have the body section. Now in the body section, we have table. Okay. You can also put a text in the head section, right? So you can have table. So you can close your table. You can also have image. You want to put background image, right? You can put your text. You can put your text. If there's an hyperlink you want to put your hyperlink. And all this can be there in your body section. See, it's important for you to learn the code, though. Please learn the code. Because they might give you questions where there's an error in the code. What do? So if you're used to drag and drop, you've lost that mark, right? So please learn it, right? Very important. So let's state the purpose of the body section. So the pole of the base station is that the body section is the main section of the web page. This is what you can see, right? It contains it contains all the contents of an HTML document. So what about the elements? They said include your answer two elements. So the elements includes let's talk about table. Which one? Image, text, hyperlink. Okay, hyperlink. Okay. A network manager stores the backup of a school network on magnetic tape. I wonder why he would do that, but it's okay. Okay. Describe the benefit and drawbacks of using magnetic tape to store backups. Now, you see this in what? Chapter 3. Storage devices and what? Media. So let's talk about the benefit. Now, we'll talk about magnetic tape. Okay, so let me just teach you this. Let me teach you this, and then we can look at the benefit. I want to just teach you it. I want to teach you. Let's talk about a magnetic tape. So we'll look at a magnetic tape. A magnetic tape, first of all, is a very tiny, let's talk about the features, a very tiny strip of plastic which is coated in a magnetic layer. They are what? Read from or written to by a read and write head. So they have that, if it looks like a disc going around, right? Written to by what? By a read. So you can look it up, set up a magnetic tape. So you see what I'm talking about. In what? In a magnetic tape storage what? Device. So those data, the data itself is stored in a magnetized area, right? Which is like 1. And then if you demagnetize, it is like 0. So that's not all. magnetic tape is best suited to offline. You can't use it in real-time processing. And I've explained real-time processing in chapter 1 AS, right? So you can't use it in real-time processing. So it's best suited to what offline or batch processing. And they have vast amounts, they have vast amount of what storage what capabilities. So let's look at it. Let's look at the benefit now. So the benefit is that what they have what large data storage. They have what a faster data what transfer it, not access time, oh, transfer it. And they are less expensive though per byte. So be very specific per byte. For drawbacks, yeah, okay. For drawbacks, they are affected. Even your hard disks or anything that is magnetic storage, they are affected. So that's a general drawback. They are affected by what? Magnetic field. Very important. Not all. Look at what he's saying. They say the network manager stores the backup of his school network on magnetic tape. So not all devices support what? Magnetic tape. And very important. We talk about that it has what? A fast data transfer rate. So it has a slower or a slower data access rate or time. Okay. So let's move to this. The music teacher wants to use Bluetooth headphones on the computer in her music class. Describe how the network manager could set up the Bluetooth headphones. Now she wants a Bluetooth headphones on the computers in her music so that people can be people can be able to dance. The music class, the dancing. Yeah, you're dancing. All right. So yeah. Okay, so you're dancing, right? So you're dancing and whatever, right? Okay. Instead of reading their books, they're dancing. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. So we have this is chapter 4. Networks. And the effects of using them. So how would the network manager help to set up the Bluetooth headphone? So remember she wants to use this on her computer. So the first thing she needs to do, she needs to turn on the computer. So So switch on. So when she switched on the computer, she can go to her settings. So go to settings. Select Bluetooth. Ensure the computer Bluetooth is turned on. Switch on the headphones. Click Bluetooth. Click on the Bluetooth button on the headphones. Bring the headphone close to the computer. So click on Bluetooth search. On the computer. Choose the headphones. Click on connect. Okay, so I guess that sorts it. Okay, I guess we're good with this. All right. Confidential email needs to be secured in order to protect the privacy and confidentiality of the data. Describe how this could be achieved using encryption of the email. So we'll talk about email, we're looking at chapter 10. We'll talk about encryption, we're looking at chapter 8. So since the question boils down on encryption, this is chapter 8. Safety and security. So under the security, ways to prevent data, we have data threat and protection of data. Under protection of data, we have encryption. Okay, good. I've answered your question, right? All right. So describe how this could be achieved using encryption. Okay, so the email is encrypted using what? An encryption key. which scrambles the data. The decryption key is sent to the receiver. The encrypted email is sent. The receiver uses the decryption key to decrypt the email. State two methods of data transfer that use encryption. Very important. So they use encryption. You will see this in when we are talking about secure socket layer, right? Okay. And we're talking about your protocols as well. We are talking about protocols as well. Protocols is in chapter 10. So this is chapter 10. Communication. So under your protocol, you're going to see this there. So we have what? Two methods. We have the FTP, which is file transfer protocol. We have HTTPS, which is hyper text transfer protocol, secure. We have SSL. In AS, we call it TSL, right? So SSL, which is secure socket layer. Okay. Are we good with this? All right. A family has purchased smart CCTV cameras to protect their home when they are at work. Okay. These cameras can be monitored from a smartphone. Describe the positive and negative effect of using smart CCTV camera. So this is chapter 5. The effect. The effects of using IT. So let's talk about the positive effect of using this what smart what TTV CCTV what camera that can be what used that can be monitored. You can use your smartphone to check anybody what coming to your house. Let's talk about the positive. So you have what? A 247 protection of the home. You get real-time footage of any intruder. The CCTV camera position can be controlled remotely. So that simply means that you can always turn the position of the camera to look around. A very good positive. The video can be encrypted to stop others gaining access. It increases sense of security, knowing that your home is protected while you're at work. And you get that beep sound, or depending on what you set, when people are around the house. So once the camera alerts a present, it sends you that notification immediately. So the owner is what? Alerted instantly if people are around the house. Let's talk about negative. Negative. It requires, so take note, instant feedback requires good internet connection on your phone. Okay. Camera can be hacked. That's the reality that we face ourselves. But and there's the internet. And of course, to ensure footage is streamed, like as if you're streaming YouTube. That's how it is. It's streamed smoothly, high network bandwidth is required. Okay, I guess we're good with this. So let's look at this. Identify two other devices in the home that could be microprocessor controlled. So this is chapter 5. The effects of using IT. Now, when we'll talk about the effect of using IT. We have microprocessor control devices, and we have two of them. Okay, we have labor saving devices and other devices. Okay, so very important. Now we'll talk about the microprocessor control devices. We can have them in lifestyle, leisure time, physical fitness, data security, and social interaction. What we have looked at here is under what? Data security. Okay, so take notes. All right, so let's look at two other devices in the home. So with what I've said, now I said we have labor saving and what? Other devices. Now in labor saving, we have them as automatic washing machine, microwave, cookers, automatic dishwashers, um, smart fridges. Then other devices like your alarm clock, television set, central heating or an air conditioning system, home entertainment system. Now they say identify two other devices. You can just pick from any of these devices and you get your mark. So let me look at it. I have automatic washing machine, microwave ovens, we have robotic, vacuum cleaners, smart fridges, central heating and air conditioning systems, even television sets. Wait, let me check. Okay, television set here. Okay, so hope this is clear. 3D printing is used in medicine to create prosthetics. State two other uses of 3D printing in medicine. So we have this in chapter 6. ICT application. And you see it here in, I think, 6.7 or 6.8. I think maybe 6.7. Computers in medicine. Computers in medicine. Yeah. So we can use it to create what? Prosthetics. State two other uses of 3D printing in medicine. Of course, can use it in doing what we call your printlet, right? Which is printed tablet, right? Your customized tablet. So so we have customized tablets, tissue engineering, can also do artificial blood vessel. Oh goodness. Just talking about this thing. I don't like biology. Anything tablets or what? I don't know, just don't like it. Artificial blood vessel. I think I'm just gonna stop here. Just okay. State two benefits and two drawbacks of using 3D printing when creating prosthetics. So let's talk about the benefits. What are prosthetics? They are used for your arm. Maybe somebody has arm amputation, and then you can use 3D printing to print the arm for the person instead of waiting for it to be produced or something, right? Okay, I see it a lot in the hospital. Benefits of using 3D printing when creating prosthetics. Okay, so it can produce customized to the person. Okay, customized to the person. So can produce customize what? Prosthetics can produce the prosthetics faster than what? Physically what? Building them. Very important. The design can be saved for later use. Drawbacks. I think something negatives, positives. Okay. Of course, initial cost of printing, cost of printer, initial cost of 3D printer is high. Can take time to print what? To prosthetics. But take note, errors cannot be easily corrected. So take note of that. Errors cannot be easily corrected. A school is a school crossing is controlled by traffic lights. When pupils wish to cross the road, they press the button on the crossing control. Identify two outputs. Okay, so the school crossing is controlled by traffic lights. So when people wish to cross, that could be used in. So anytime these people want to cross, they press the button on the crossing road, and the immediately the traffic light changes. Okay, it slows down, changes, and then these pupils can now cross. So let's identify two output devices. Take note, two output devices that can be used in the crossing control. So once they press the button, there's something that needs to show. So the first one is what? The screen. So there's a screen that shows that pupils are crossing or slow down or something. Pupils are the screen. Then there is a light. The traffic light changes to red. So we have the light, and there's a speaker that maybe tells you that a kid wants to cross. Please slow down. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this paper. So traffic light to okay, so you see this in what? This chapter 5. This chapter 5. The effects of using IT. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this um, practice questions and answers. So hope you've been able to understand, right? We've looked at chapter 5. Um, this is the same. So take note, this is the same. Same as what? Same as question 13A. Yeah, so it's the same. Let me put it well so you understand what I'm saying. Same topic as question 13A. Okay. So I've been able to look at chapter 6, computers in medicine, in under ICT application. Um, we've looked at chapter 5, the effect of using IT, microprocessor, control devices, smart motorway. This one is for, you see this in the smart motorway, okay, which is chapter question 14, smart motorway. And then we've looked at data security in chapter 5, the effect of using IT. We've looked at under communication protocols, right? We've looked at safety and security. Under protection of data, we've looked at encryption. We've looked at Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, but the Bluetooth aspect in chapter 4. We've looked at magnetic tape in chapter 3, storage devices and media. Under that, you see it in magnetic storage devices. And then under the magnetic, one of them was talked about here, which is magnetic tape. Remember, we have three. We have the magnetic tape, we have the fixed hard disk drive, we have the portable hard disk drive. So magnetic tape was assessed here. We have the website authoring, purpose of the body section. We talked about it extensively. This is the same as question, same topic as question 8A, which is safety and security. Under the data threat, we looked at farming. And then under ICT application, we looked at the booking system. And then we looked at DD in chapter 2. We talked about it. We give the advantages. And this is chapter 1. Types and components. of computer system. Under that, you look at it as types of computers. You see the types of computer when we have desktop or mobile computer, and mobile computers was talked about here. Then we have the computer control system in ICT application, and that was talked about here. We explained it, and then we gave the benefit and drawbacks. And then we talked about chapter 7, the system lifecycle. Under the system lifecycle, the design phase, and we talked about 4 parts of it, which is file structure, data structure, input format, which is your data capture um, form, then the output format, which is your report layout, and then validation routine. We talked about it here. We also went further and then borrowed some context from ES to talk about the input marks. And then we talked about internal memories and backend storage on chapter 1. And then we talked about in desktop computers, in which is the part of type of computers, right? We talked about it here as well. And we also talked about analog and digital data. And finally, we talked about website authoring, which is the web development layer, and we give the 3 of them, right? So thank you very much. Hope you've been able to learn, right? Don't forget about our ICT combo plan for teachers who needs to get access to it to start well, right? In ensuring that your students have all the necessary materials and you have all the necessary material in becoming an exceptional teacher. Okay. And if you're not enrolling to our private classes, you're missing a lot, right? Across all subjects, we have the very best of tutors, and you cannot afford not to enroll. So please enroll, send a message to the sales team. Thank you very much. And yeah, yes. Thank you for watching. And if you're not subscribed to our Discord channel, I don't know you're waiting. I know what I'm saying. It's going to be the number one educational Discord community in the world. And you cannot not be part of it. Right. So you need to be a part of it. So you can scan the QR code, um, join any of the links. It takes you to the same destination. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, I don't know what you're waiting for. Thank you. And I'll see you in our private tuition ICT class. Bye for now.